things of this world are not as important or near as important as the things belonging to God. Like God said, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve what? Caesar and serve God. So you have to choose. And by serving God, you're helping others all the time. So I've learned my own weaknesses. I've learned my own selfishness. And I've learned my own kindness and generosity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your decision to become a nun? If so, how do you work through that?
Well, no matter what profession you are in life, regardless of what profession you have or career, you're always tempted, because I do believe in there's evil in the world too. And I do believe that there is evil in the world. So that evil, would, since we were all born imperfect, none of us are perfect people. I'm not a perfect person. I have my weaknesses as well as my strengths, and therefore I feel that my weaknesses would allow me to feel I could do this and this. I could do things outside the convent that I couldn't do being a nun.
How much closer do you feel to God being in a religious life rather than you were before?
You see, my family were quite, you wouldn't call them religious, they were spiritual people. They really had strong faith. So that's a hard question to answer, because I don't know how stronger I am or how closer I am to God today than when I was before I entered the convent. Because I was brought up in a family who was very, not necessarily religious as much as spiritual.
Okay.
They believed in God, and they believed in whatever happened, it was God's will. And that's what you do, you follow God's will. And I learned that. I learned that by following God's will, hopefully that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
What, in your opinion, is the biggest misunderstanding or stereotype about nunnery? In reality, what are the positive and negatives of being a nun?
Let me say the beginning of the question again. The biggest misunderstanding at the moment is that not all of us are wearing habits. Okay, that's the big misunderstanding, because people keep asking me, well, you don't wear a habit, but so-and-so wears a habit. We see other nuns with habits. Now, when Vatican II came around 1964, everybody was wearing a habit. But we were free then to wear a habit or not to wear a habit. Okay, so the misunderstanding was, this is my personal opinion, the misunderstanding was that people were looking
What has religious life taught you?
Oh, it has taught me many things. It has taught me that being close to God is the most important thing in this world. You can have all you want. You can have all the liberties in the world you want. You can have money, you can have this, you can have that. But in the long run, we all have the same God. It doesn't matter what religion we belong to, really, in a sense, because, the Muslims, and they believe in God in heaven, and or wherever they believe He is. But in the end,